Why do we need governance in yoga?
I don't think we need governance. I think we need leadership. Yoga doesn't need regulation. It needs leadership. And I don't think that the Yoga Alliance has been providing that kind of leadership. The leadership is creating a standard and a membership body that helps you develop a career. And then it's like helping you be part of a system that's going to shift business models that exist in yoga.
Leadership in Yoga Fam. Today, I'm coming to you from quite possibly the future of yoga. We're here to talk to you about the whole fascinating ecosystem of yoga, including power and power dynamics within yoga, money, education, technology, ethics, and impact. And can we actually step away from 200-hour teacher trainings? What would a yoga retirement plan look like? And in general, what does the future of yoga and teaching yoga look like as a career? You can think about this episode like getting a little insight into predictions for the future of teaching yoga. And if you're like me, I've been hearing a bit more these days about American Yoga Council, and so I decided to go right to the source, as you'll hear me explain in the episode, by inviting the CEO, Andrew Tanner, onto the podcast. And he joined me live in Seattle a couple of weeks ago. And before we get into the episode, I want to ask you, if you are a fellow yoga teacher, if you have ever struggled with that sensation of wanting to have everything set up professionally, have your website, have your booking links, your payment processing platforms. Maybe you want to have a content library, you want to sell courses, and in your attempt to do so, you end up having a whole bunch of different subscriptions. It's expensive and it doesn't really work that well. I'm here to tell you that whether you've got all that set up, or maybe you haven't started any of that, but it's on your bucket list to do for this year, OfferingTree is an all-in-one business platform designed specifically for yoga teachers and studio owners. They are offering a free trial for the Leadership in Yoga fam, so go click the link that is in the show notes and pause me real quick if you need to do this, because whether you are trying to simplify or you're just trying to start, OfferingTree is the best all-in-one option. I use them myself. For example, if you've ever signed up for one of my free community events, the Yoga Teacher Roundtable episodes that we record live, you will see that I use OfferingTree. They are the sponsor of this podcast, and I'm proud of it because I know that they can help you out like they're helping me out. I always say that it's good to never leave the sight of a goal without taking one little action. So if that feels like I'm speaking to you and this has been something that you've been wanting to work on, maybe this is your sign to go and actually do it. Go to offeringtree.com/Shauna Crew to start your free trial. I believe in you. Now, sit back, relax, but also lean in. Today, on the Leadership and Yoga podcast, Andrew Tanner. Let's start with a nice deep breath. And if you're listening, you can take that deep breath with us. How about that? Just to arrive and ground a little bit. Andrew Tanner, welcome to the Leadership in Yoga podcast. It's lovely to have you here with me in person, and I'm really, really excited for this conversation. So yeah, thanks for taking the time to be here.
It is my pleasure, and it's been sad to be in Seattle 2 days after my Patriots lost the Super Bowl to you all, and I had to literally come and fly in and see the parade. But otherwise, I love being in Seattle.
Yeah, you did arrive on the day of the parade, and I was only aware because of Bad Bunny's concert and halftime. That's the only reason I really watched. But
Bad Bunny's concert was pretty epic, actually.
It really was. It really was. Well, if you were tuning in, to kind of give you an idea of the conversation that you'll be hearing today, we're going to talk about yoga much beyond the personal practice side of yoga. We're going to talk about yoga in terms of the entire ecosystem, which includes power, which includes education, which includes governance, which includes money, right? Business, all of these sorts of things. And so I want to say right off the bat as well to all of you listening that this is not a sponsored podcast. I've been hearing a lot about the American Yoga Council, and I decided to go right to the source and invite the CEO, which is Andrew, to chat with us. So I'm here to learn with you as well. And Andrew, something that strikes me about you is that you seem like the kind of person who thinks a lot about the future of yoga and that it's important to you. I mean, that's in part why we're sitting here today.
Yeah.
But when you think about the future of yoga, let's say 20 to 30 years from now, what is exciting to you and also what's worrisome to you about that future of yoga?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say 20 to 30 years. I think a lot of people are only thinking a few years ahead right now in their minds. But I often think about the role of yoga in the long term. And I mean, if you look at what's every day in the news, with technology and AI and robots and all this stuff, I honestly believe being a yoga teacher will be one of the last jobs to be replaced, But also I think it can actually never be fully replaced because I believe that there is something deeply human about being a yoga teacher and the transmission of yoga from human to human, from consciousness to consciousness. That said, I think I'm really scared. You asked what could be good, what could be bad. Nobody is having the conversations right now with, whether it's Elon Musk or Palantir, all these companies that are trying to build technologies that will greatly affect us all. No one's saying, okay, hey, what's the plan? It would be great if no one had to work and everyone was just focused on self-development and finding moksha and yoga teachers would be just doing their dharma. It would be amazing. But I don't think anyone realistically has a plan for that. I don't think any of the institutions that are set up today have a plan for how to deal with massive disruptions in the economy. And in fact, they're just moved by greed. So one of the things I'm interested in is how do you create an organization, a company that has the right incentives set up so that it actually could support the future of yoga or the future of an industry.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really want people to start asking these tech leaders and these businessmen, okay, what's the plan? What's the social plan? Because no one's having those conversations publicly. And I think yoga teachers can be a part of that. So if they want to sell us the dream that we're going to have, technology that saves the world, and does all the work for us, then great, because the yoga teachers are here to pick up the broken pieces of humanity. I don't believe that robots and apps can help people deepen their yoga practice. I think I shared with you the other day that I sat next to a guy on a plane, really cool guy, entrepreneurial guy. And I asked him if he did meditation or yoga, and he said, "Oh, I do this, Headspace app or whatever."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, how's that progress going?" And he's like, "Ah." And it's because I know that when you're in the presence of another teacher that's actually experienced a deeper meditation, that's part of how you
Yeah, it's an energetic thing.
Yes.
Just like this conversation is an energetic thing
Yes.
because we're sitting right next to each other.
Right. So that that whole thing about apps taking over and everyone taking over, I don't think it can take over yoga. So I think that's a good thing. I believe the future of yoga is human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's so important to me as well because I mean, that's why I'm doing all of this with leadership and yoga, because I am fascinated as well by this idea of what if the leaders and the people who were in charge were actually practicing meditation and had more of a sense of connection to their humanity? What would happen then? That's the main question that I'm posing here. So what you're saying, I mean, you're speaking my language for sure.
Yeah, I think sadly, people that are drawn to power are typically not drawn to yoga, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to get them when they're there. But I do think there's going to be a shift, right? So like leaders, I also believe though that leaders arise in these kind of times. And yeah, I like even the conversation we had the other day in preparing for this, I think this concept of leadership in yoga is really important. I wrote an email to our American Yoga Council newsletter the other day saying like all this stuff coming out about the Epstein files and the and just what's happening with ICE, and like it's scary. And I think this could be a moment where the public stops looking at, hey, you've made a lot of money, you're a leader, or oh, you're this like powerful person, so you're a leader, and instead looking for people who have inner power.
Yeah.
And the monks that are walking across from Texas to DC is an example of like inner power, or like Gandhi used to say satyagraha, like truth power. And I think yoga teachers could actually, start to cultivate inner power and leadership, like, and see themselves as leaders. So I'm all down for this.
And it's interesting what you talk about, where the traditional metrics, I guess, that we use to decide who is a leader, it's all of those things. It's how much money they have, it's how much power, it's their position, it's their title, it's how they look, it's all of those things. And my fascination is that those things are actually sometimes how you get tricked into great sort of downfalls, even as a society. So yeah, it's interesting. And the other reason really that you're here, and I want to explain to folks a bit about American Yoga Council, and then we'll hear your story, but I want to make sure that if people are tuning in and they're like, what is this? I don't even know what you guys are talking about. But that's the other reason you're here, is because you've built something that so many of us are starting to hear about, myself included. And actually, before I was going to have you on the podcast, I reached out naturally to my little group of friends, which we call each other the Cactus Club. If you're a listener, you probably know about the Cactus Club. But basically, it's this little self-created mastermind of 5 of us yoga teachers who actively teach, and we also create for the online world, and we write. We tap into like some form of creativity in addition. But I asked them, I'm like, hey, what do you guys know or think about American Yoga Council? And they were like, oh, like we heard that they're going to replace Yoga Alliance.
I mean, so yes, we are an alternative to Yoga Alliance, and we are an accreditation body with a different philosophy on accreditation. We move away from hours and just towards competencies, because we don't want to micromanage people's yoga. We want to hold them accountable to what they say they can do. So it's, but on top of being an accreditation body, the way I think of the company is we're like LinkedIn and Ancestry.com had a yoga baby.
Okay, so LinkedIn for yoga and Ancestry.com.
Yes. So what I mean by that is LinkedIn is like, if you're in the professional world, where you go to have your resume, to make connections, to get hired for jobs. And I felt that if you go to Yoga Alliance's directory, it's very outdated. And more importantly, if I am trying to hire, let's say I'm a university or a hospital or social clinic or any place that might hire a yoga teacher, if I say, okay, what's your credential? Do you have a 200-hour RYT, right? I have no clue the difference between a 200-hour RYT from Kripalu or Kundalini or Core Power, or like, and I'm not saying anything is good or bad. I'm saying they're totally different.
Yeah, you have no idea what you're going to get.
Yeah, so the entire market of people that have institutions that have the money to hire yoga teachers at fair wages have no idea how to differentiate yoga teachers in the marketplace.
Yeah.
They don't get that. So our system, just when you scroll over someone's credential, it shows you exactly the competencies that training had. In the future, we're building tools that will allow them to, like, oh, how much woo-woo do I want in my teacher? How much anatomy knowledge do they need? Or, all these different things. Or I want woo-woo and anatomy, So I think that we can help solve a big problem to help yoga teachers make a better living doing what they love. And then the second part, which is near and dear to me, is the lineage aspect. Because I always felt that if I was like going home for Thanksgiving and talking to my Aunt Judy or something about, oh, my backers, I should do yoga. It's like, okay, how can I help her find a yoga teacher that will actually help her?
Yeah.
Because if she just looks up yoga on her phone, she's going to maybe, like, the nearest thing to her could be a hot yoga studio. Not going to work for Auntie Judy. And so I have to be like, okay, where do you live? Let me look on a map. Let me find someone from the Deskachar lineage who knows
Yeah.
about yoga therapy or whatever. And so I wanted to, so when people join American Yoga Council, they can also list who their mentors are. And that has to be, the mentor has to also agree that, yes, I'm their mentor. And then that relationship is part of the algorithm. And then their competencies are also part of the algorithm. And that way, if let's say I go to visit, I know you had, what's his name? Shtangi.
David Swenson.
David Swenson was on the show. So you take a class with David Swenson at a yoga festival and you're like, oh my God, I love this man. And then you're back in your hometown and you want to see, are there any teachers that were trained with him that he says he's been a mentor to them?
Yeah.
And you could find them. And I think that would be pretty valuable as well.
It is. And this is why I think the thing with lineage and different specific types of yoga, because I practice rocket yoga, for example, and I love that anywhere in the world, if I look up rocket and I can go and I'm going to know more or less what I'm getting. Whereas if I go to any other yoga studio, I mean, of course, hot yoga and there's different set sequences, Ashtanga and things like that. But for the majority of really wonderful teachers who are teaching some kind of flow, I have no idea what I'm going to get. I have no idea who their teachers or influences were. I could read their bio, but that just, it's a lot of work to find. Yeah. And then
go to Google, go to the website, look at the schedule, look at the teacher, look at their bio. It's like,
Interesting.
There's no search via teacher. You can only search right now via location.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll get into your story too, but the other thing that's fascinating to me is that actually when I was interviewing Kino as well, and I actually asked her about the future of authorization in Ashtanga, which if you're not an Ashtangi, it's you can think about just like the future of certification in general for yoga teacher trainings, because I think it's something that's been a disillusionment for many of us. I mean, I physically redid my first 200 hour because I was not satisfied with the level of training and preparation that I got out of it, And so I think it's something that is a hot topic right now. And I'm just curious, you guys have a lot of people who are quite popular teachers who are joining into this. I mean, how did this start?
Well, I guess that's more of a business question, but I mean, I've been in the yoga industry for over 25 years. I'm not a young guy anymore. Sadly, I thought I was young, but recently I realized I'm not. So it's just it's a lot of relationships built up over many, many years. I'm a partner in owning the Berkshire Yoga Festival. So shout out to that, but just building these great relationships with people. And I think I used to work for Yoga Alliance, many years ago. And someone once told me that one of the best compliments I ever received was, they said, "Oh, we remember you as like the good guy at Yoga Alliance, like the guy that cared." And I think there are a lot of good people at Yoga Alliance. Let me just say that. I think that we're just a different organization. You can be part of both. You don't have to do one or the other.
That's good to know.
It's just like other industries, in fitness, there's American ACE, and then there's, NAMHA. There's like multiple credentialing bodies typically in any given industry. We have a different philosophy than them, and we have a different focus than them. But that being said, you ask kind of how we got a lot of people involved. I think it's just all relationships. I think, and I would say for your audience too, like you're going to keep building relationships as you grow into having a yoga career.
Absolutely.
And one of my mantras in how I run my business is work with wonderful people, do wonderful things, make wonderful money, in that order.
Yeah.
Very important. Because if you put making money or doing wonderful things above working with wonderful people, you will definitely be miserable.
Yeah.
And that took me many years to learn. Yeah, that I wish that's a shortcut. If you're listening, if you're in your 20s, you're entrepreneurial, whatever, don't chase the wonderful things or the wonderful money. Chase wonderful people, and everything else will stream from there, as well as fulfillment. Yeah.
It's reminding me of one of my business principles that was given to me by when I was working in the law firm industry before I quit to do what I'm doing right now.
Mm.
But one of my favorite leaders, he said his guiding principle was first who and then what.
Yeah.
So first who and then what.
Mm.
And so I feel very similarly, like it took some time for me to cultivate the relationships that I have, like with the Cactus Club, like I just mentioned, and various other people that now, I mean, post episode 200 something, right? You start to see people who are doing things that expand your mind. And yeah, so I like that as a guiding principle. Can I ask how your time was working at Yoga Alliance? I mean, what made you leave?
Oh gosh. Okay, well, I guess to back it up, I started there because I was the head of the schools of yoga and Ayurveda at Kripalu.
What is that, by the way?
Kripalu?
Yeah.
I forget we're on the West Coast. So I'm like, wow, I thought everyone knew about Kripalu. Sorry, Kripalu. They're probably the largest yoga retreat center in the country.
Okay.
They were founded in the 70s. Swami Kripalu was an Indian mystic. His student was Amrit Desai. In the 60s and 70s, or maybe 70s and 80s, they started an ashram. It got very popular. It got so popular that they were able to buy the old Shadowbrook building in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, which is in the Berkshires. And it's gorgeous. It was land that used to be owned by the Carnegies. In fact, the largest house in America used to be on it, burned down in a fire. And the mansion lawn is still there. And it was an amazing property. And after that house burned down, they built a Jesuit monastery there. The Jesuit monastery, this was built in the late 1800s, and then by the time we got to the 1970s or 80s, I don't know the exact date, there was like one monk left in the Jesuit monastery.
All to himself.
Well, he was like the groundskeeper or whatever. This is a great story. This is a really cool story. So when Kripalu, the guy that became the groundskeeper for Kripalu, he was like a young man at the time. His name's Moose Ferran. Shout out to you, brother. Amazing guy. He's in his 70s. He's actually my neighbor now. But he was a young man at the time, and he went to like get the keys from this groundskeeper. They're bringing this whole yoga, ashram people, like 1970s people, to take over this Jesuit monastery. And they're going to hold the first kirtan in the main hall. So imagine this is the place where they had their services. Like it's a big Christian temple that they converted into a yoga space. 30-foot ceilings, cathedral ceilings, huge stained glass windows and stuff. And then all of these yogis in white come in, and Amrit Desai, this charismatic Indian guy, and they do like a kirtan, and they do like their whole their ceremony and darshan or whatever. And Moose told me this story. He said, so the monk, or that was the last monk left, he sat in the rafters in the balcony watching the ceremony, and he cried because, and the last thing he said to Moose was, we're giving you this place, but God has not left this place.
Yes.
And I thought that was cool. So anyway, that place, Kripalu, they run hundreds of retreats a year.
Okay.
They have it's like a never-ending yoga festival. So they're basically like 10 to 12 programs at any given time, and big dining hall. So there's usually like between 500 to 1,500 people doing yoga there.
And so you were working for them.
I led their schools of yoga and Ayurveda. And we were graduating 600 students a year at the time. I don't know what it is now. So it's one of the larger yoga schools. And my CEO at the time said, hey, you should try to get on the board of Yoga Alliance. You're a leader of this large yoga school. Why don't you see if you can get on their board? And so I did. I volunteered to be on the board. And I really care about things that I get involved with. And Yoga Lines didn't have a great reputation. Like it has had this similar reputation for a long time. This reputation of like, it's like thing we have to do. Do people really care about it?
Yes.
And I hate to be part of things like that. But if I'm going to be, I'm going to really try to change it. So when I was there on the board, we did create something called social credentialing, which was at the very least what they have now is after you complete a program, you can review it and we can find out if there's like some really bad programs out there. But then I worked for them for years, first as an advisor, and then they did hire me at a certain point when I left. I've also worked for tech companies at the time. So long story short, 2017 and 2019, I did the standards review project and met with hundreds of yoga teachers from every lineage, and studio owners, and talked to them about like what they cared about, and helped co-write 8 white papers on various subjects on the attitudes and beliefs of yoga teachers and yoga professionals. And then I made a lot of recommendations to the board, well, really to the leadership team. My recommendations never got to the board because they didn't want to do anything so radical. But that's what we're doing with AYC. Yeah. So I left shortly after that in 2019.
Because the recommendations were dismissed, basically.
Yeah. Look, they did a few good things. They created a better code of conduct, a better scope of practice. But they were not willing to make radical changes to like mentorship systems, like all the things that I think matter in yoga. Like the real way yoga is transmitted is not by following an hours-based curriculum.
Yeah.
It's by each student is different. And how much practice have they done before they come to your training?
Do you see that we can move away from the 200-hour?
Definitely. I mean, that's why we don't have a 200-hour. It's level 1, level 2, level 3. A level 1 teacher can teach a group a particular style of yoga, a general audience. And that's what you learn. You learn first to copy your teachers and teach a sequence or a particular style to a general group. Then the level 2 teacher can start to work with people one-on-one, start to get into the details and like this is what a yoga career looks like, right? And then the more you work with lots of people one-on-one, then a level 3 teacher is someone who has a certain amount of experience and they're starting to specialize. So I would say level 1 teacher is usually like your first 4 years of teaching. And you're really just getting good at speaking, getting good at sequencing, getting good at looking at bodies, all these things, and learning more and getting more educated. A level 2 teacher starting to work with bodies. And I think at a level 2, you can really make it a career. I think level 1 teachers should not quit their day job. And I think it's important to understand that the career arc like that. So anyway, American Yoga Council, all of our business coaching that we do for our members is to help them be on a career trajectory.
So it's beyond just the governance of it. And I want to get us to your story as well. And then we'll get back into this question of like, how does the governance of yoga really work and look, and why you guys, because there's a lot of beautiful things. And I also have some questions just like, because, I've been teaching coming up on 5 years. And so I still consider myself somewhat of I'm still newer in my career. That's why I ask you the question 20 to 30 years from now, I'm still going to be teaching, most likely, right? Or doing more of this. Can you imagine 20 more years of leadership and yoga podcasts? Oh my gosh.
More like 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
unless I retire, but.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll talk about retirement.
The yoga
for yoga
retirement.
teachers.
We do have a yoga retirement plan.
Yeah.
So many of my friends who are like in their 50s and 60s and who are yoga teachers for their whole life don't have retirement.
I'm so aware.
That made me
Many
very
people
sad.
bring this up on the podcast as of like their hope for the future of yoga. How do we get here, right? I mean, we've been bouncing around a bit in your story, but something that I know about you that's interesting is that I feel like you've had experiences of power dynamics in all different forms within the yoga world, as have I. But like, especially in your case, I mean, you were part of what we could call a cult that
Sure.
rebranded itself to try to not be a cult, but was very much associated as that. And I want to start there with that experience, and if you could talk to us a bit about that.
Sure. So I like to call it a high demand spiritual group.
Okay.
I hate that term.
You know, it's good when the producer laughs.
Oh yeah, the producer left. That's good. I don't like the term cult because, I mean, there's a lot of cults out there, and that term gets thrown around a lot. But in high demand spiritual groups, there are some people. There's a lot of, especially the bigger they get, there are so many chances for abuse to happen.
Yeah.
And power dynamics are more prevalent in groups like that than there are in non-high demand spiritual groups. And why I also like to call them high demand spiritual groups is that how you know if you're in one is that they keep asking more of you. There's more demand on you, on your time, on your money, on who you're allowed, like the choices you're allowed to make. And so if you're wondering, oh, am I in a cult right now or a high demand spiritual group, like, are there a lot of demands being made of you? As opposed to, a yoga studio is like it's like a fee for service, right? But I don't think that that's the best model either. Like, I actually think that there's this middle ground of a healthy movement,
Where you feel part of something, but you don't feel like your personal free will is taken away.
Yes. Yeah. And you're not being put in positions where you have to question that too much.
Can you give us like some specific examples of the ways?
Yeah. So I was in Dan Yoga. Let's get it out of the way. I was part of Dan Hak is the original name. Now they go by Body and Brain. I don't know. We can.
Which, if you know, like I've also been to the center, and of course a lot has changed, but we connect because I know a lot of these practices are very powerful, but you mix that with improper usage of power.
And I'll just say that I still practice this yoga today as my personal practice. Although I found out there, and for anyone listening, it's a PSA, Dan Yoga is really an offshoot of Kuksondo, which is an earlier if you want to go deeper into the practices, the Dan Yoga practices are kind of like the warm-ups for these deeper pranayama practices of what I call Samje Taoist tradition, which is Samje means the three elements of Tao. So in Korea, the concept of Chunji-in, heaven, earth, and human, three-element Taoism. And there are many schools of that. Just like in yoga, in Indian yoga, for lack of a better terminology, there are many schools. There are many branches of the tree. And so, by the way, I still think it's a great practice. When I was there for 5 years. I became a sabomnim, which means I took the master's vows. I lived with my teacher for about 4 years. So for that time, I practiced celibacy. Not everyone does, but that was a thing. I don't know if they still do that.
Yep.
I lived with very few possessions.
And this is like in a house, like this is like in your teacher's house, but like in a neighborhood, right? It's not like you're.
Yeah, well, and he wasn't the grand master. He was also a monk. Like we were all living a life. So they're a huge organization.
But as part of the city, or I'm just trying to get like a visual for the setup.
We were in New York City.
Yeah.
It started when I was in college, my parents were mortified. They forced me, they were like, because I was going to drop out of college and just do this full time. And my mom went and talked to my other monk teacher and was like, don't let Andrew drop out of college or I'll come after you or something. She's like, but otherwise. So my fierce mother, thank you for making me stay in college. So I was in college but I moved in with my teacher and we lived in an apartment in Midtown, in a 1-bedroom apartment, 4 of us.
Wow.
But to understand how power and hierarchy works, my teacher, who was the most senior in that community, got the 1 bedroom. And then the 2 ladies, the living room had a sheet, and the 2 ladies were on one side, and I slept on the floor between the coffee table and the couch. So that was how power dynamics work.
And you were like, this is totally fine because I'm doing my practice.
This was awesome because it was so good for me. That's why I'm saying it helped me like kill my ego. Like it was perfect for me. It was not perfect for many other people.
Yeah.
I know many people that scenario was not good for them. And not just that scenario, other scenarios. Asked you people, the pressure to make money in the organization was very high.
Yeah.
And that your spirituality being linked to how many people signed up.
This feels like a repeating with people I've heard who were Hare Krishnas, for example.
Yes. And I find that to be unethical and unnecessary. So again, while I benefited, probably because of my privilege too, like I also wasn't sexually abused.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of women that were. And I'm not saying even by like the grand master of the organization, there are accusations against him. I can't speak to them at all. But lower, anytime you have a big organization where there are power dynamics like that, then there's abuse all the way. There can be abuse all the way down. And so I know for a fact that teachers that there were a lot of little enclaves in like every community in that organization has its own group, right? It's organized. So like in Manhattan, there were 4 locations or, I don't know what it is in Seattle, but they all kind of live and work together. So when we lived with our teacher, it was the 4 of us in one apartment, and then it changed to a big house where there were like 9 of us. I was at a 60th, managed 3 locations. And so in those kind of circumstances, I know for a fact of sexual abuse, disgusting stuff.
So what was the tipping point where you're like, it's time to get out?
So when I was there, I was totally blind, and I thought everyone else was celibate like me.
Yeah.
Like I thought everyone's like
following the rules.
Yeah. And so I did not know. Also, the house that I was in it wasn't terrible. There were other houses that I heard about later. I always thought those people were just weirder. Like, I didn't get it. Now I look back and I'm like, oh, they were living in like trauma. I didn't know that. But what made me leave was the money. I ran the most probably successful Dawn yoga studio in America when I was like 24 years old or something in Union Square, Manhattan. It was the largest center. We raked in like $700,000 a year, and it was me and my now wife, and the 2 of us, our salaries combined were like $60,000. And we were living in New York with nothing. And we didn't care because we believed in the vision.
Yeah.
But that everyone else that worked with us was a volunteer. And then what killed me was in the back end of like the when you look at the finances of it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So like every time you made money, 20% went to the organization, the leadership, the Grand Master, their consulting company. And I didn't mind that. Actually, hey, he created this, he created all the programs, but what I didn't like was then they would say to you, oh, you didn't make any profit this month. I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, that's because 20% off the top is going to the, and that kind of, I basically like in a meeting in front of like the Grand Master's wife and like all these other like 30 masters, I was just like, this is bullshit. How
was that received?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I don't know. I was pretty agitated at the time, so I don't remember. I do.
You departed shortly after.
I have a lot of stories. I don't know how many of them are for this podcast. I'll just say, no. And then the reason but that wasn't even, I didn't even leave because I was very devoted to my teacher, who I thought was ethical. He had his own shadow, but I don't really want to get into that, to be honest. He taught me so much. I didn't have a deep relationship with the Grandmaster. I had I studied with him a few times. I admired what he had built. And I had seen him do some amazing things, as he's definitely a master of the energy practices.
I mean, can you give like one example of that?
Birthday party in Sedona. There was a big cake with like 60 candles on it. You know, they wear robes, so you learn when you wear robes to like move them in a way. And we used to practice. I used to practice meditating, like feeling the chi in your hands, right?
I've done it many times.
Qigong meditation.
Yeah.
And we would practice putting out candles, or I would. I don't know if everyone in Don did that, but I used to do that a lot. And it was a thing that you could do. It's called Neigong. And so I can put out like a few candles. And it's, so anyway, I saw him put out a lot of candles. And it wasn't.
To the point where your brain is kind of like, is that real? Like, was that engineered?
Yeah, like,
I mean,
I don't know. So now going back, you know, I never thought this until just this moment. But did you ever watch those YouTube videos about like the Indian gurus that would do like fake tricks and like vomit out a gold egg or something, or like magic tricks to like prove that they're a miracle, that they could do miracles?
No, but my grandfather did so many magic tricks that they look so real, and then he would show us how he would do it. And so like that's
so
why I
honestly,
asked you.
Until this moment right now, I never thought that could be true, but now it makes, I can't say one way or the other.
Yeah, it could be. We'll never know. Yeah.
But being able to blow out candles doesn't mean shack shit.
Yeah.
Like if you are not, my whole stick was, I don't care if you're a good teacher. If you are going to be in charge of a huge organization, you're responsible to set it up. So set up the incentive structure that it doesn't create all kinds of systems of abuse.
Yeah.
And to this day, I don't care if you, whether you want to say, because there are allegations against him as well, but even if you don't even look at those allegations, he's a leader of this organization. If you're a leader, you should be responsible of what's happening.
Yeah, that's
as you scale.
My definition of a leader is literally somebody who takes more accountability than anybody else.
So that's why I left. There was no accountability in that direction. But long story short, my teacher, who I loved and admired, I was begging him to leave. I'm like, let's leave. Let's start our own thing. Let's do this thing. And so he ended up leaving. And he got married suddenly out of the blue to this woman I'd never met before. And he got some money from her mother. And they built a yoga studio in Queens. And then he had like a nervous breakdown because he was freaked out. And he asked me to leave. He asked me to stay first in Don to take care of like our little mini cult within the cult. And then after he had his breakdown, he asked me to take it over.
And you did?
I did. And my parents were very happy. And so I paid back his mother-in-law. I got money from my uncle and my parents. And this was in 2007, right before the crash. And I opened Bamboo Moves, which became a yoga studio in Queens. And that was kind of how I got out of Don.
Yeah. And so from what I understand and see in your story is this sort of unfolding where you experience a successful, large organization with high demands, but I mean, successful in terms of its popularity in a lot of ways. I mean, still to this day. Yeah. But you see that it's heartbreaking, essentially, the lack of accountability. And so then you go on and you open various yoga studios. So let's just I want to keep going through this because it's fascinating, the evolution.
Yeah. And I think for any leader or someone who wants to be a leader, I think recognizing where you're at and learning along the way, because I got thrust into taking over a yoga studio when I was 25, basically.
Yeah.
Or 25, 26. I don't know. I don't remember right now the exact age I was. But it was 2007, so you can do the math later. And a lot of people saw me as a leader and then wanted to leave Don and open their own yoga studios. So my best friend left Don, and who's now my business partner, Scott, love you, brother. He was like, I got to get out of here too. I want to open a yoga studio. Yeah. So we opened like 4 Bamboo Moves yoga studios in like 2 or 3 years. And then I realized like, wow, I am not I don't have the leadership skills to handle this thing. And it was almost turning into another little cult, because but then I'm the one on the top of this cult, and I at least had the awareness to be really wary of that.
Yeah.
Because I saw how bad that could be. And
if you hadn't seen it, it's impossible to really understand it.
Yeah, I think that could be true. Yeah.
I would say so. And so many things that we have to experience in our own lives, like until you really, people can warn you about it, but until you actually experience it a lot of times, you just don't understand it.
I think power is seductive. And so when people start treating you like a guru and you start making money and everyone is like just wants you to tell them how to live their life or whatever. If I hadn't seen how bad that was, I was really scared of that. Scared because I did feel even then, and I feel now, that I wanted to be a leader. I was always a leader in my life.
Yeah,
I was a leader as a kid in sports and at school, and so but I was scared because to be a leader at a level that is like spiritual or even in business, like you really need more education. So I'm grateful of that. And yeah, I don't know if
So you walked away from what you've built
Yeah.
because of the fear of essentially repeating that pattern and needing to, from the awareness of...
It wasn't just by the way, how I got aware was there was conflict.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not trying to pretend like I'm a saint. Okay. What I mean is that my business partner was like, we were having arguments about stuff. Well, I kept saying to everyone, I'm not your guru. Right. And I'm like, you should go do this, go do teacher training, go with this people or something. And I started sitting with Dharma Mitra, and I said, oh, my business partner, a different business partner, I told her, you should, I had a different partner at each location. So I said, why don't you study with Jivamukti? Like everyone picked a school to learn from. And then people would come back, and now because we didn't all see in the same spiritual lens, it was like there were these conflicts, and I didn't know how to resolve them. I didn't have the skillfulness to resolve conflicts. So then I was like, this is not going to work. And so I left, and by kismet, I got the job. I was asked to help Kripalu. Yeah. They wanted someone who had experience in a high demand spiritual group, because Kripalu had made a transition in the 90s from an ashram to like just a retreat center. Yeah. Their guru, Amrita Sai, was defrocked for sleeping with tons of, again, power corrupts. It's just like this tale as old as time. Yeah,
we're seeing it even in the last couple of months.
Oh my gosh. That, I didn't used to think this way. I didn't think that, I do think that there's probably a number of amount of money or whatever that if you make it probably rots your brain or something. Because I'm shocked by that. I'm not shocked by the Epstein stuff, but the extent of it and...
Well, I think this is something that we agree upon in terms of yoga's role in society. Not that we need to convert everybody to yogis, but the reason why yoga is a path that can be really helpful is because it teaches you self-awareness and things about self-restraint and training and cultivating this sense of control that actually gives you real freedom, rather than just being drugged through life by your senses and your random impulses in every given second. And I think money, I've gone through many different philosophies and ideals around money and if money's good or bad. And I do think that money fuels whatever fire you've got burning. Absolutely. Yeah. And can you change that? Yes. But a lot of times, once you're in the process of it and you dump a whole bucket of money on whatever somebody, who they are deep down, it becomes quite visible and quite out of control in a lot of cases.
Yeah. I mean, money is energy.
Yeah.
And I think the purpose of yoga is to bring one's attention to the eternal truth that you are already whole.
Yeah.
Um,
And that if it's not enough right now, it never will be. Because that's what I see with greed. And we talk all the way back at the beginning of the episode, you mentioned greed
yeah.
with these companies. But I believe a lot of times, like what's going on up there is a reflection of what's going on down here. And in everybody, we all want just a little more. Even me, I'm looking for apartments right now. I'm like, oh, if this was just $500 per month cheaper, this would be the perfect place, It's just always,
so
you're just close.
If you can notice that pattern,
yeah.
that is the pattern of Maya. That's like the illusion, that's attachment.
Yeah.
That is, so if you can start to notice that you always want something a little more,
Always.
that if you can notice that and then make the choice to get something less, then you can start to defeat that in your life. And if you look at the, like, we need to start creating that kind of a value, that kind of a yogic value.
Yeah.
And so not to pivot, but like American Yoga Council, like 50% of the revenue that comes in from memberships, we are giving back to the community through an algorithm. We call it, like, I can't legally call it the Yoga Retirement Fund. So it's not the Yoga Retirement Fund, but it is a way for us to, from the beginning, set up an incentive structure that will force us not to be greedy.
Let me see if I understand it, and then let me ask you a question about it.
Sure, please.
Because I, had the opportunity to hear you talk to some of the studio owners in the community yesterday. So how I'm understanding it is that you're marking who your mentors, basically who you give credit to in terms of your influences and your teachers.
Yeah.
And based on who you mark, your dues get divided amongst those people.
And the trainings that you took.
Okay.
So right now, the way the algorithm works is if you verify your credential that you did with YogaWorks or Kripalu or whatever, and then you also list Kina McGregor as your mentor, and she has to accept you as a mentee. It has to be a two-way agreement, because that's also her saying you're in her lineage, so to speak. Then your 40% of your membership dues would be split 3 ways between those and distributed quarterly. And then 10% goes to a give back fund. Then 50% operates the business.
Do you see or have any concerns about ways that that greed could still sneak into this new system?
I mean, we're not talking about million. Like, it's not a lot. Like, this isn't going to be huge amounts of money, but it is a way to make it free for most yoga schools and studios. So, like, what I like to say is, if a yoga school or studio is joining an organization like ours and they're doing all this hard work, or let's say you in a couple of years, you're starting to offer a program that you want to get accredited, right? It shouldn't be that it costs thousands of dollars to work just to have that badge. Like, it should be that there's a system that pays you back a little bit, so that you can have that badge as a support. Is there a way that can be abused? We have some systems to block against that. Like, we have an identity verification thing. So, like, if someone was really smart, they would impersonate like a big name yoga teacher.
Yeah. And
then try to create an account and get a lot of people to list them.
Yeah.
We have an identity verification system to block that. Let's say there are schools, and there are schools that are just like farms, factory farms for teacher trainings. So
just basically creating lots and lots of new teachers in order to turn a profit.
Yeah, I mean, there are people already doing that. I think that
that's the problem.
Here's the thing. Yeah. The value of that credential on our platform will not be as high, because the competencies that school can deliver will not be as high. Now, by the way, there are schools that have a great system and have great delivery and do offer lots of trainings. And So look at whether someone wants to verify that credential or not. It's optional. If you join American Yoga Council today, you pay a membership fee. American Yoga Council, accredits you first. You give us your yoga history, and we give you your level. But then, if you want a badge on the that shows that you completed a training, then you would verify that with that school through the platform. The benefit of that is if you admire that school, and if you want your resume to look good because that school is a school that you think has good program, then you would do that, and it'll make you more findable in the algorithm. But overall, the way our thing works is over time we will be able to know which schools are doing a better job at teaching yoga, the specific competencies. So like Core Power might be amazing at teaching, like a HIIT flow yoga teacher instructor training. I don't know. I'm just making that up. Versus another school that's really great at teaching pranayam or, yoga for back care or yoga history and philosophy, that kind of thing. So at the end of the day,
How do you?
I don't know. There's the difference. If we didn't do it this way, then we would just hold all the money.
Yeah.
Like so.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like who
We're
really
just distributing it back to the schools.
who benefits most in this system? Because what I'm hearing is teachers with lots of experience and
Yeah.
who can give that specialized training, which it takes years to gain that.
So definitely, if you are a more experienced teacher, then you can benefit more from American Yoga Council, and that's on purpose. And I know you're sorry. I know you're a
No,
newer teacher.
I am.
We're building this system so that you
Yeah.
and all of your community,
Mhm.
30 years from now, will have a real career.
Yeah.
And so you can't even create a level 1 training until you're a level 2 teacher. You can't be a level 2 teacher until you've taught a minimum of 4 years. You can't be a level 3 teacher until you've taught for 10 years.
What about for the people who are hearing this and saying, but why do you have the right to tell me what I can do, right? Like, why do we need governance in yoga? And I'm interested because
Yeah, I don't think we need. Well, I don't think we need governance. I think we need leadership. Hence leadership in yoga. In fact, one of the things I really support of Yoga Alliance is their position against regulation, which I share.
what does that mean?
That means I don't believe that any state government or federal government should ever license or regulate yoga instruction,
Okay.
because that would be like, with the power of the state, the power to fine you, the power to, put you in jail, et cetera, for breaking the law, saying this is what yoga is and this is what yoga isn't. That's dangerous, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially, it's literally, you don't think it could happen here, but in India, for example, it is controlled by the state.
Yeah.
And it is used as a political tool.
Yeah.
And so I'm a big believer in separation of yoga and state. But then, so only states can legally regulate someone, or the federal government can legally regulate. So yoga doesn't need regulation. It needs leadership. And I don't think that the Yoga Alliance has been providing that kind of leadership. The leadership is creating a standard and a membership body that helps you develop a career. And then it's like helping you be part of a system that's going to shift the business models that exist in yoga. And that's why I think it's important.
Why do you ever ask yourself, like, why me to create this project? And I'm asking because I ask myself that sometimes, like, why me to interview all these yoga teachers?
Well, you're doing your dharma, right? I mean, I had like 3 years ago, I had like a midlife crisis, so to speak. When I turned 40, I fasted for 36 days, actually. I was really thin at that point.
I didn't know that was possible.
Oh, yeah. The first man to fast for 40 days on just water. By the way, I fasted on water, liquid.
Yeah.
His last name was Tanner, which is my last name. And I just, silly story, but he was a doctor in, I don't know, 18 something, and he in New York, around New York University, and he was in a building in downtown New York City, and you could go in and like observe him and stuff the whole time. It's like open to the public, and they pay like, you pay money to, like 8 cents or whatever to go in and see him. And he was like, see what he was doing and how he was doing on every day. And there were all these bets whether he would make it or not. He broke his fast with steak and milk and like something like that,
Oh,
and then proceeded to vomit it all up. But
gosh.
so I had this idea that I was gonna, redo his fast, but it was a ill-begotten idea. 36 days in, I kind of had an epiphany. I got what I needed, let's just say, out of the experience, and I felt really clear about my purpose, my meaning, and then I just looked in the mirror and I'm like, well, what are you supposed to do? And that next week I got asked to be part of the Berkshire Yoga Festival. There was a woman that was the original founder of it, Alana Ackerman. Was her idea, but she didn't really have a way of building it and running it. And I ended up buying it from her and kind of making it happen. And then after I got really clear on my purpose, I feel like when you get mentally clear, like moksha, sattva, clarity, then things will unfold for you. And then your skills and things will be put to use. And I got a person of mine, a student of mine, said, what would you do if you had some money to do something big? And I said, I want to do this. I have this idea.
I love friends that ask you questions like that.
I said, I have this idea for like fixing the yoga world, and it's about networks and this and that. And she said, all right, here's it. She wrote me the first check and then got other people involved. And I realized that I wasn't afraid to take on power. Getting back to that theme about power.
Yeah.
I finally, at this time in my life, am not afraid to be in a position of power. And I don't feel like a fraud and all the skills I learned along the way, I've worked for lots of companies. And, like in the Bible, it says like 40 is the age of wisdom and all these things. Like, so I kind of notice that now, and I think I had a lot of angst in my 30s about not being as successful as I wanted to be. And now I look back and it's like, I just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So I feel ready now to take on that role. And I have a lot of good friends that can check me, that can tell me when I'm, if I'm overstepping. And I think we have a great team at American Yoga Council of like amazing people.
Because that's the question, if we're talking and that this is going to be something that potentially impacts, the more people that join, it impacts all of us, no matter whether or not you choose to join or not, because eventually, right, like you kind of have to join if everybody's there. You don't have to, but I'm curious, like, how does American Yoga Council avoid falling in that same trap? How do they give transparency and like listen to the people,
So I think that there's two parts to it. First of all, just so everyone knows, you can join for free right now, AmericanYogaCouncil.com, join in the upper right corner. Please, please, please just create a free account. That would be my lovely request. If you want a paid account, we can like give them a discount in the show notes or whatever. I'm sure there'll be one. And so you asked, like, how do we avoid it being the thing that people have to do? I think even right now, I think a lot of people feel they have to be part of Yoga Alliance, but that's not true.
I'm not a part.
Right. There are 16,000 yoga studios in the country. There's only, I think, 3,000 or 4,000 that have yoga schools with Yoga Alliance in America. Half of Yoga Alliance's schools are international. I want there to be a reason. I think that there should be a reason why you are accredited with us but also a reason why you'd want to be a member of American Yoga Council. Like we should be providing a service that makes people want to stay a part of it.
Yeah.
Like it really helps them. And if it doesn't, then I don't think anyone, like I will fight to keep yoga from being licensed so that you don't have to join an organization like American Yoga Council or Yoga Alliance.
Interesting.
I've always believed that. And I would definitely continue that. We haven't published this as a public statement, but American Yoga Council's public position right now is we are against the licensure of yoga teacher training and of yoga teaching in general. But so how do we avoid that? I think the other piece of it is that we're built like a software company. So not, Yoga Alliance is a nonprofit. You can look online at their 990s and like how much they spend on what they spend on. They've for like 20 years, they haven't had to sell what they're doing. Like they've been the only show in town. And so that creates
monopoly.
Yeah, monopoly, and you just rest on your laurels and whatnot. And so I don't know how we protect it 20 years from now if American Yoga Council will still be a good thing, but I think for the next 20 years will definitely be a good thing.
That's a good disclaimer. Okay, I'll take it.
I mean, like, I just don't want to make a fake promise to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that would be BS. I think, though, that the fact that one of the things we did to the revenue share, I believe all tech companies should, if they're going to use AI and fire all their employees and everything, and AI is going to take over, then they should give their users money.
Yeah.
Because you are the product in most of these apps. So if you're on X and Instagram and Meta and all these, you are the product. And their customer is advertisers.
Yeah.
Right?
That's an interesting reframe. Yeah.
Yeah. But our platform will never have advertisers. Actually, let me say, we will not monetize attention.
Which means?
It means that there are algorithms in Instagram to keep you on there, TikTok, to keep you on there.
Yes.
Because the more of their attention that they take from you, the more money they make. That is anti-yoga. It's literally anti-yoga. Yoga is the art of attention, of bringing one's attention in to oneself and like actually realizing one's true nature. And every app is taking you out of yourself. So, and it's one thing to take you out of yourself to have a tool so that you can survive. I don't think phones are evil. I don't think apps are evil. But it's another thing to take you out of yourself in just to buy some product.
Yeah.
Or to gamble now. I mean, the ads for like gambling, like there's so much unethical stuff in the world of
taking advantage of people's attention, which is the most valuable currency, truthfully.
Attention. We live in the attention economy. If you are not intentional with your attention, then other people's intentions will dictate your attention.
Truth.
So we are building a software whose goal is to help people find the right yoga for them and to practice more yoga and become a better yoga teacher. And we will never monetize attention. And that's a promise. I think that will keep us from being evil.
Yeah.
And I hope that yoga could be the example for other vertical networks. Because I think people are really sick of these horizontal networks, or things like social networks that we're used to. They have lots of different, they cover everything. I think people are waking up to how destructive those are.
Yeah, you feel scattered. You quite literally feel like your head is going to explode.
Yeah.
And then when the minute you come back and you can focus on an hour-long yoga class, or even on your 10-minute, I like before this episode, Soham meditation, 10 minutes. It's just like, you feel all of that coolness come back to your mind. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So Well, this has been a fascinating interview, and
Oh, wow.
we're
That went by so fast.
yeah, it's really did. But a couple of wrap-up questions. I've been enjoying asking people this, and we've talked a great deal about it. But in your opinion, what makes an exceptional leader? What are qualities of an exceptional leader?
A leader has to have a vision that they believe in, that they're willing to do, not anything unethical, but that they're willing to have sleepless nights, be the last one to eat, kind of thing. Like they have to have a vision that is really deep to their heart. That's number one. That they're willing to work harder than everyone else for. Without that, you can't be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
A leader is like a tree that people take shade under.
Hmm.
And many people are looking to take shade under leader. And even leaders are looking to take shade under other leaders, right? And when we look at the top now, we see it's a bunch of disgusting, people addicted to the worst kind of, stuff, pedophilia, all this disgusting stuff. And so that top of the branch has been shattered, right, for many people. And so from the bottom up, we need to think of ourselves as a tree.
Mm-hmm.
I used to say you think of yourself as a lighthouse, but what I don't like about that metaphor is that people only see your light. If you're a tree, people can take shade under you, but they also get to see your gnarly roots. They get to see when your bark's chipping. They get to kind of walk around the tree. They get to climb up into you. And like a leader, will the leader should expose their, like, be an open person, but then the deepest part of their roots they can share with the people that are ready for them. And this is a metaphor I love. The trees that are taking shelter under you, when their roots butt up against yours, then they're ready to get out from under your tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the essence though of leadership is you have a vision and you're willing to do hard work for it. Through doing that hard work, you will experience lessons.
Yeah.
And those lessons will become your wisdom. And those wisdom become your roots that people will admire. And then that will turn into the fruit of the tree that will attract people underneath for shade. But if you don't have something worth doing, you won't work hard enough. If you don't work hard enough, you won't learn any lessons. And you'll only learn by failing and then trying again and failing and trying again and being willing to do something hard. And then I think when you get to the higher levels of leadership, it's learning how to trust other people to lead. This is like when you get to the level of having an organization, it's a totally different game. It's a different set of leadership rules.
Yeah.
And also learning to communicate and trust and not being the only one that makes all the decisions. That's like something I'm working on now. So I can only teach what I know.
Yeah. Well, that was really beautiful and
cool.
and also hits home for me because recently when I was leading a retreat, I realized that pretty much everybody there was fellow yoga teachers. And so I'm like, I'm not, I'm here in the role of the leader, but all of you are also leaders. I mean, I believe everybody is a leader on some level. We're all influencing people, and first and foremost, we're influencing ourselves at least. But just seeing the skills that each of them had. Somebody's really good at chanting. Somebody could teach us a dance, and pulling people in to actually sometimes being a good leader, like you said, is recognizing the talent that's right in front of you and allowing them to be in the spotlight rather than yourself.
Yeah, and knowing when to lead and when to follow.
Yeah.
So in my organization, I'm the CEO, but I have the leadership team. I have 2 amazing executives on that team. And a mantra that I'm sometimes saying in my head when we're in a meeting is like, shut up, Andrew. Just let them lead. like they are like, why would I get in the way?
Yeah.
And so I love that. Having mutuality is so amazing. If you're at the top alone, it's the worst place to be.
Yeah.
And there are some times where you have to jump up and then bring people with you. But I think that's really cool. I think that a good leader can know when to let other people lead. Yeah. And a sign that you're in a cult is when the guru has to be the leader of everything, has to know everything and be the smartest about everything.
Yeah. Reason to be suspicious.
Yes. Yeah.
The last question of the interview is the billboard question, which is that if you had a billboard that was going to be seen by everybody in the world, what would you put on your billboard, Andrew?
Okay, well, of course, the first thing I'd put is find a great yoga teacher at AmericanYogaCouncil.com. But we're going to not do that joke, or we're not going to do that. I'll say that something I thought just this morning was curiosity equals freedom, and stay curious. So curiosity equals freedom, stay curious.
Yeah.
I would put that up because I would hope that would spark people's curiosity. Mm-hmm. And I have found that staying curious is a good form of mindfulness. Mm-hmm. That's how I think about mindfulness. I don't do like mindfulness meditation. My meditation is, from in Taoist yoga, we meditate on the belly as much as we can. So feeling the belly and then staying curious. And if you stay curious, you can learn so much. Yeah.
Stay curious.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll let folks know. I know you've told them how they can sign up, but let's give a little refresher on that, and then also where they can find you, and basically just where can people go to continue to learn more about you and your mission.
Yep. So AmericanYogaCouncil.com. Mm-hmm. Please join for free. And then if you want help in your career and stuff, join the premium account, and we'll do a discount code for them. I don't know if I even mentioned it, but the Berkshire Yoga Festival is the largest yoga festival in the country. We also, me and a business partner own that, and it's a great way to study with master teachers. So if you're a younger teacher and you're looking to get continuing education and learn from amazing master teachers, BerkshireYogaFestival.com is a great way to experience that. There's over 200 classes in 4 days.
Wow.
Over 80 faculty. A really amazing group of teachers. And yeah, I think with American Yoga Council, we want to hear from you. So follow us on IG, reach out to us. You can chat with us on the website too if you have any questions. And did I answer? Was that everything?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah, no, in the Berkshire Yoga Festival, we just skimmed the surface of, but that could be a whole nother episode on the creation of that that festival. But
if people want to learn how to teach at a yoga festival, we could do that. There's another podcast.
Potentially part 2. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you're listening, thank you for making it all the way to the end of the podcast, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Ciao, ciao.